And welcome everybody right here to the Paranormal View on the Parax Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be with us tonight, and I hope everybody's having a good time. Jeff, it still shows him coming on to Skype, but it doesn't show him as being connected. So with that, we will continue on, and I want to thank everybody for being here. We have with us, I hope, Barbara Duncan.
Yep.
And we have Marla Brooks.
I'm still here too.
And we have thousands upon thousands listening from around the world. Is that right, Barbara?
From around the world and into the afterlife. In Germany, the United States, Canada, England, and our little unknown friend.
Well, that's from around the world, I'd say.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty good. So, as we were saying before we took a break, we do have a thing we're going to be playing here, and it was from Steve Shockley. He recorded it for us. So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and maybe Jeff will get back in time. So listen up to this.
The story of the jack-o'-lantern. The origins of the Halloween jack-o'-lantern was based on the Irish legend of Jack, a mean farmer who drank too much. One Halloween night, Jack got so drunk that he felt his soul slide right out of his body. The devil immediately appeared to claim it. Upon seeing the devil standing there, Jack begged the devil to have one last drink with him. The devil agreed, but said that Jack would have to pay for the drinks. Jack only had 6 pennies in his pocket, but needed one more, so he suggested that the devil, who could take any shape, turn himself into another penny to pay for the drinks. And then after the drinks were bought, he could turn himself back and enjoy a final drink with Jack. The devil agreed, and faster than you can say Beelzebub, the greedy devil turned himself into a shiny coin. Jack snatched up the coin and put it in his wallet, which had a cross-shaped clasp, trapping the devil inside. Jack then told the devil that if he would leave him alone for another year, he would release him, and the devil agreed. Jack at first tried to change his ways, but soon lapsed back into his bad habits. The next Halloween, Jack thought he was safe from the devil until he was returning home from the pub. The devil, as promised, appeared before him to collect his soul. Jack knew that he had to quickly devise another trick to save his soul, so he pointed to a nearby apple tree and asked the devil if he'd like one. The devil was once again happy to accept Jack's offer. Jack suggested to the devil that he climb up on his shoulders to pick one. The devil hopped up on Jack's back and up onto his shoulders, then made a leap to a nearby branch. The minute he hopped onto the branch to pick the juicy apple, Jack carved a cross into the tree. The devil screamed to be set free. He said if Jack would let him climb down from the tree, he wouldn't bother him for 10 years. Jack said he would let him down only if the devil promised to never bother him again. The devil agreed. Before the next Halloween rolled around, Jack died. When he tried to enter the gates of heaven, he wasn't allowed because he hadn't lived a clean life. He had no other choice but to venture down to the gates of hell, but he was denied entrance there as well. The devil reminded Jack of his promise to never bother him again, then threw Jack a lit piece of coal so he could see his way in the darkness. Jack placed the burning ember in a carved-out turnip to use as a lantern to guide him on his eternal earthly trek. Over time, the lit turnip evolved into the candle-lit pumpkins we now call jack-o'-lanterns that help light our way on those dark and spooky Halloween nights.
Right, now you know the history of the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern. So, I guess everybody's back with me. I haven't lost everybody yet.
Well, having never made a pumpkin pie from scratch, wasn't it just a good way to get rid of the pumpkin exterior? Don't you use the insides to make the pumpkin, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I actually did that once, and it wasn't bad.
Was it
Surprise,
bad?
surprise. Yeah, but a lot of work.
Well, did you use all the seeds too, or did you throw them away?
I tried to roast them, but I didn't do a very good job, so they did get tossed. But see, to me, all right, we all have childhood memories, childhood smells and everything. For me, it was if you carve open a pumpkin, that aroma that comes out of there with the seeds and everything, I don't know why, but that just kind of makes me smile. It always did. And it's really kind of slimy to dig them out and stuff, but I love the smell of a fresh pumpkin inside for some reason.
Well, I don't know. Do you eat pumpkin pie for Halloween, or do you do that more for Thanksgiving?
That's more for Thanksgiving, maybe, but it is the pumpkin season because once all the stores start having pumpkin lattes and pumpkin muffins and pumpkin donuts, I mean, it's you can't get away from pumpkins now.
So, Jeff, are you back?
I am currently back. I am trying something sneaky. I actually was downtown the other day and was offered a free phone with free service, and I'm trying to put it on the other phone. So I'm trying to add you on Skype there and see if I get kicked off on my desktop Skype. Maybe you can call me in on my phone Skype.
Oh, well, if you're on Skype, then I should be able to do that.
You should. Let me see if I'm trying to add to chat. It's kind of weirdly different than
As
he disappears.
Oh, no.
he's
No?
he's still on. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Now, speaking of Halloween back when we was all younger was a lot different than what it is today. I think mostly back when we were young, it was mainly for the kids. Younger kids would be going to parties and stuff like that. And let's see here. What does that say? Would like to add you on Skype. Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm accepted. You're accepted on Skype. So
Yay.
with that now, so nowadays it has been commercialized so much that it's not just for the younger kids. There is more grown-ups having parties and it's costume parties, not just a drinking Halloween party, but everybody dresses up for it. So, do you guys go out to any of the Halloween parties?
I haven't been in a long, long time.
I don't get invited.
Really?
Here we are, sticks in the mud.
No, we're not
You-
sticks in the mud.
We have a local cemetery that has a Halloween party. And what they do is they have a little pumpkin patch for kids. And then the kids go down the block where there's a lot of stores. They do their trick-or-treating there. And then they come back to the pumpkin patch and there's bouncy houses and whatever. Yeah, the cemetery is more like a park than it is a cemetery. And sometimes the cemetery also holds events like plays. So they do Spoon River Anthology, which is a story of the dead.
Yes.
Telling about how they died. Yeah. It was kind of fun.
Wow.
Not so much a party, but kind of.
Well, not commercialized, of course.
No.
Everybody wanted to stick their fingers into the pie.
Ew.
So they sell billions of dollars worth of candy, but it's not just candy anymore. They sell all kinds of decorations for Halloween. They'll be selling decorations also for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But they do sell a lot of where people dresses their houses up and shining lights outside and just all sorts of different things. Some of the biggest items that's, I mean, they've been out for a while, but they're even really out this year that I've noticed, is the animatronics. And you can get them in a lot of different places. I know Marla out there went to a place and she even posted stuff online.
Spirit store, yeah.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, next thing I know, they've got one down the road from us, Spirit House. Matter of fact, they got two, one down the road and one north of us.
Yeah.
So we had to go there and look, and they have all these kinds of the animatronics and everything. And they do also have a very hefty price on all these things, too.
They are, but you know what? They are, but they aren't. I mean, some of those real big ones, they're under $200. Now, that sounds like a lot, and if you have $200 to burn and you can spend it on that, more power to you. But think about it, maybe 10, 15 years ago, those things would have sold for maybe $2,000. I mean, they're not so bad that you can't afford them. But still, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money. But I don't know, some of them are adorable. But the thing is, I looked at, the ones that I looked at, they were good. They were kind of cute. I was really fond of the gargoyles, and I didn't take any videos of those because I love the animated door knockers with the gargoyles on it and stuff. I'm kind of a gargoyle person. But there were some that were really good, and then some of them, they didn't do anything except their heads moved back and forth, and the voice recorder was in them, and they were talking. It wasn't like they were going, and scaring you. The only thing that really scared me was a jumping spider, and I was going to take a picture of that. I don't know if I remember if I did that on Facebook or not, but long story short, Tim Shaw hates spiders of any kind. Hates them, can't look at them. I sent him a picture of one without knowing that he didn't like spiders on Skype one day. We were talking, and he cursed me out for a week. He was he literally jumped out of his chair just because I sent a picture. So, of course, I go to the spirit store, and I see the spider. I thought, there's a thing to step on. I didn't know what it did. I didn't really read the sign. So I turn on the thing, and I'm going, hey, Tim, this is for you, right? And I've got my camera rolling, and I step on that thing, and that sucker jumped up, and I jumped back like something smacked me in the head. I mean, it scared the bejesus out of me. So, because I didn't expect it, and then I looked at the sign, it said jumping spider, and I went, oh, duh. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of those just aren't scary. They're big and they make a lot of noise, but they're not like things that would have really scared me as a kid, even because they just didn't look good. There was one tree that was kind of like the Wizard of Oz kind of tree. It was talking.
Yeah.
The throwing apple tree.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. But the big clowns and they had this little girl on a swing that was so funny because she was good. You didn't see you didn't see her face, and she's swinging and swinging, and she's saying, I love things that hate you or something. I mean, it was really well done. It was a good poem. But some of those things are cute, but some of them are just like silly. They're not worth the money, I think.
And then they have Ouija board tablecloths, which I have to go get this
There
weekend,
you go.
so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, we found some, and I believe it was at the Spirit Halloween store. We found some shot glasses with Ouija board and all that stuff on them, and Patsy got those and sent them to Tim. So he got all that stuff. We also found not just at the Spirit Halloween store, but Menards had a bunch of those animatronics, and we went into Home Depot, I don't know, a few days back, and got to looking around in there at their Halloween stuff, and they had some gigantic dinosaurs. You'd push a button and they'd start moving and roaring and talking or just making noises. They had it was a skeleton. It was just a skeleton of a dinosaur, and the other one was a skeleton of a horse. It did the same thing, but they had tons of those different type scary animatronics.
It's so amazing how things they're taking the simplest thing and turning it into something that's very cute, and it doesn't, like Kat said in the chat room, the Dollar Tree has some cool stuff. I mean, I've gotten a lot of decorations at the dollar store because they don't look cheap or anything. I mean, but I don't know, I guess they're seconds or whatever. But I mean, I got this when I was at Spirit Store. A friend of mine snuck away and got me this little gargoyle, but he's plastic, he's like a squeezy gargoyle. And I thought, oh, this is really cute. And I squeezed him, but that little thing, its eyes light up, and it says all kinds of things at you. Wait a minute, let me see. See if you can hear this.
I was going to try it now.
I am going to try it, yeah.
You are.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's a squeezy thing. It's not made of cheap plastic. I mean, or something solid. You squeeze it like, you squeeze his belly, and now it comes these sounds. And it's so cute because it wasn't. I mean, it was cheap to get. Spirit Store, had a lot of things like that are kind of just neat. This guy's sitting on the shelf with my other gargoyles, but he's the only one that his eyes light up red and he can talk. I mean, I love little things like that. Very cute.
He's like a gargoyle Rudolph.
Gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
Have you got a Target store out west?
Sure.
We was in there, and they had tons of these things also. We got a thing for the grandkids, and I even posted it online and pushed a button, and you could hear it say things.
Mm.
But it's like a doorbell, and you put it on your door. You can't do it on the outside. You do it on the inside. But you push the button, and it opens up this one big eye, starts looking around. It starts saying all kinds of things. I mean, weird. I mean, it's just being online and showing it to them. The youngest one was hollering, oh, I want that put on my door. So we took it out there the other day, and after they actually started playing it, I don't think he was wanting to put it on his door anymore. If you're in bed and all of a sudden you hear that thing go off at night, you're done for.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was scary too, boy. So we thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, you can buy all kinds of different things like that. So
It's very, very good to set the atmosphere. And while I mentioned the dollar store, I just remembered something. I've got this contest going, and I was at the dollar store, and I found this like skeleton. He's wearing a Clint Eastwood hat, kind of, the old-fashioned hat, and a cape, and he's a skeleton. And I brought him home, and I stuck him on my door, and on the outside of the door. And then, I said, oh, I've got to have some fun with this guy. So I was taking pictures and posting him on Facebook, him in different positions. He went out in the backyard to where I have my table with the plants on it, and I've got little gnomes there. And last year I got a little Transylvania gnome. I've got this whole family of really cute gnomes, and then there's one with this orange hat, and he's a skeleton, really cute. So I take this guy out there, and I pose him with them, and then I go hang him on a tree. I mean, I'm just having fun with him. But I realized that I didn't have a name for this, and so I kept referring to him as my new doorman, the guy that's keeping all the boogeties out of here. So I decided to have a contest, and it's still time to enter it. The doorman needs a name. I mean, he's getting kind of mad at me just calling him the doorman or the new doorman. That's not very respectful. So if anybody's interested, you can go over to my website, which is www.marlabrooks.com, and click on the news and events tab, and you'll see a picture or three pictures of the doorman, and it's a contest to name the doorman, and it's going to be a random drawing. I'll do it on Skype Live sometime next week. And the prize, there actually is a prize. Some people might not think it's a prize, but I think it's a prize. I've got a box set of my Ghosts of Hollywood books, 1, 2, and 3, and also a paperback of The Bad Case of the Collywobbles. So it's a 4-book deal if you want to win that. Just go, like I said, go to my website, click on the news and events tab, and everything is going to go into a big cauldron or a big pumpkin, whatever what, and we'll just do a random drawing, and whoever gets pulled, that's what the name is going to be for the doorman, and they will get the books. So
name
plug.
doorman, huh?
You have to go look at him because, it has to be a name befitting of something of his his caliber. But it's really funny because every time I take a picture of him, it looks like he changes expression. It's so weird. It's just the way he's turning and the lighting and stuff. But one picture, his eyes were just right there, and then you don't see his eyes are sunken. And then the next time he looks like he's smiling. And then his clothes change color when he's out in the sun. I mean, it's, so I think he's taken a life on it of his own. Yeah, I think he's really out there working to keep the boogeyman away or something. Yeah.
Keep him away, huh?
Yeah. So he'll be rewarded with a name sometime by the end of the week. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the animatronics and the haunted houses that are coming up, and how that impacts Halloween. I mean, I assume that the original intent of, the original aura around Halloween was people were scared to go out at night because the ancestors were going to get them. So people are kind of taking that into a new tradition of these haunted houses. Some of them are full-on contact haunted houses. What's your opinion of those?
I don't like. I mean, stuff scares me anyway. But somebody wrapping me or whatever, I'd be cold cocking somebody or picking the first stick up I had and be swinging it.
Yeah, I'm afraid of those too. I don't like anything that can jump out at me. I mean, I don't like things that jump, period. I've got a grasshopper on my plants back there, and I walk around him because he's as big as my hand. I don't like jumpy things, and grasshoppers, if that's bad enough, somebody dressed in a scary thing that's standing there looking like he's dead and then jumps out, no. Mm-mm.
Now, can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you're aware of this, Marla, but last year around this time, I was part of a live immersive theater called The Tension Experience.
Yes, I was reading that, yeah.
And you probably really would have enjoyed that because it was just really suspenseful and psychological horror, and nothing really some intrusiveness, but it was all consensual. I mean, there were ways you were able to, opt out. If people, and we did have people who were so freaked out that they would, what we called coward out, because safe word, literally they had a safe word called coward. Yeah. And one night during the climax, we'd have like our 13 people in our show, and I'd go to the climax scene, and I'm like, why does it look like there's only 4 people, only 4 participants here? And our leading lady gets on the microphone to do her speech, and she's able to, improv a little bit, but 99% of the time it's all the her lines. Like I said, 5 of you cowarded out. I'm like, oh my God, we really. And our writer director Darren Lynn Bozeman, who directed Saw 2, 3, and 4, that just tickled him pink. He just loved when people were so freaked out by what was all theatrics was just too much for people to handle.
Well, things in the mind are a lot scarier than things that you can see.
Yeah.
You get into somebody's head and you can freak them out really badly. So that would work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So probably the longevity of something like Halloween is the fact that people really do like to get scared deep down.
I think so, in some ways, sure.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The endorphins and all that.
That's true.
The whole part of the unknown.
Well, plus horror films are relatively safe. Yes, you allow yourself to be immersed in the cinema, in the film and the story, but it's all actors, and it's something that you can go home and you can only bring home what you think in your head.
And that's why I never watch them.
Oh, they're so much fun.
All right. Speaking of it's Halloween, a lot of people year-round likes those slash and cut up and horror type movies. See how many they can kill in a night.
Yep. You can watch a season of 24. Oh, wait.
Yeah, well, no. But to me, at Halloween time, sitting around at night watching black and white movies like Boris Karloff and Frankenstein, The Mummy,
The real one.
Lugosi and Dracula, Lon Chaney, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those kind of movies were, to me, Halloween movies.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
other stuff, Freddy Krueger, how many can I slice up? And, I'll come back next year as Freddy 2, and it just, to me, those are just not, to me, they're not good movies. They may be good movies, but not to me. I just never cared for those kind. So, but that's me. I don't like anything that scares me.
How about horror films that are funny?
Like,
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London, Trick or
Yeah.
Treat.
Dracula, Dead and Loving.
Yeah.
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 Twice Bitten.
Twice.
I like
Yeah, that
Tonic anyway.
Now,
Oh.
Patsy's watched all those, and she liked all them. I just never cared for them.
Has she seen? You should find out. I'm lucky I'm still on Skype, but has she ever seen the movie Trick or Treat?
That I have no idea.
That is the epitome of Halloween movies now. That Sam, little Sam in that film, is now literally the iconic Halloween mascot for films. Have you seen that, Marla?
Mm-mm. No.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's on Netflix, because Netflix is getting really weird, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, why should we show movies when we have original content? I'm like, because you're supposed to have movies. But Trick or Treat, I'll send you the link to it.
Okay.
It's done. It's an anthology film, similar in both style and humor of Creepshow, the film back in the 80s with Stephen
Mhm.
King stuff.
Mhm.
That kind of, and it's all happens in one night, but they're overlapping stories. So stuff is happening within, the same time frames. So if you notice at the transition, you'll suddenly see like an overlap of time, and you'll see characters from a different vignette in other stuff. So it overlaps pretty well.
Okay.
And it's got
That's
Anna Paquin and a lot of other name actors you recognize. Brian Cox is in it. And when they asked him to do it, he says, as long as you can make me up to look like John Carpenter. And they did.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
That's cool.
So, Marla,
Yes.
do you think the veil, as it's called,
Mhm.
that ghosts are a lot more prevalent during the Halloween season? Or is it just that we tend to look for them more? Or is the veil thin enough where they are seen more?
Well, I don't know where the thing came about the veil being thinner, but I think it's not something physical. I mean, I think the veil is the way it is all year round. But as you know, when you get into ghosty stuff, you open doors, you open portals, you open yourself to it more. And I think more people now are actually more aware of it too. So I don't think that the veil is necessarily thinner this time of year, but I think because we're attuned to it, we're looking for it, I think that's where it comes from, that anybody can come through. Because, they're in the old days, they were worried about fairies and gnomes and trolls and whatever coming through. They could do the same right now, as far as I believe. I don't think there's any doorkeeper that's saying, okay, well, no, you better wait till Halloween, you better wait till Samhain, because, you just, no, I think it's always like that, but I think we're more aware this time of year, and when you're aware, your senses get heightened, and even people who don't think that they have any abilities at all, or, can't see anything like that, they might, because they're just more sensitive to it mentally.
Say a mic, huh?
Do you think that it's sort of a which came first, the ghost or the ghost hunting shows? That we've always had the same amount of hauntings, but just more aware since like ghost hunting shows came out.
Yeah, of course. The media just, people live on TV, and they live. I don't remember when they started coming out. Was it around Halloween and then it just caught on or something? I don't know. I don't remember, because the first one that I saw was Most Haunted, the British one. And that was before we had any of our own. And of course, the Brits have always been into it more than we have anyway. But certainly, when something's on TV, people jump at it because write a book and I'm just using odd numbers. Write a book and 1,000 people will read it. Put it on TV and 1 million people will see it. And that's probably why it got so popular.
Yeah. Back before I started doing anything, if I walked by a place and it even looked like it might be haunted, I was on the other side of the street. You couldn't drag me into a place. Anybody talk about, say, oh, that place is haunted or got something in it, you couldn't make me go in there. So I'll go in, but either Cat or somebody else is going first.
I think like using Cat Calico as a human shield.
Shame on you, Henry. Shame.
Now, by the way, Marla, I'm starring in a movie next year which is going to be filming Anne Mansfield at the Reformatory.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to be able to finally investigate there.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Have they got a date set for that yet?
They do not.
Okay. Let me know when, and I'll see about when I'd be able to drive up there and
Absolutely, yeah. I'll be telling, everybody, have to set aside a night or something to...
Okay, I got a question here from the chat room from Tabby. She said, ask Marla, what is the significance of lighting a candle or light on All Hallows Eve?
I've read a couple of different reasons why you do that. One of them was having to do with what I mentioned about the bonfire before, that you light a light and it'll keep them away. Other people have said you light it because it'll bring them in, because they were doing it to do it for their ancestors, the ones that they wanted to come in. So here I am, it's maybe they forgot the address. So I think I don't know, it went both ways in the stuff that I was reading. I was reading about it today, as a matter of fact. So one was to keep them away and one was to let them in while you would lit the light. And I'm sure there's about 6 other better reasons than that I just haven't found yet.
Well, candles would have also been used for scrying at that one point, right?
Yeah, true.
With the candle wax. I know that you're supposed to peel an apple all in one
strip,
one movement, yeah, and then throw it over your shoulder, and the letter was supposed to be who you were going to marry.
Either that or see whether or not you hit the cat.
Yeah, mine would throw it back or try to strangle me with it. But that was the other thing, divination. Very many divination methods were done back then with, like you said, with the apple thing. Bobbing for apples was some kind of weird thing. But there were different ways. You would take something, I don't remember what it was, but you put it under your pillow on Halloween night and you would dream of who you were going to marry, kind of thing. It was very much concentric to your love life and your future, and you're going to live happily ever after, and who is going to come into your life, what's his initial,
So was divination tied to Halloween strictly for the reason that they thought divination was contacting the dead for answers?
I think so. I think there's always been soothsayers and fortune tellers. I mean, you go back into history, probably to the cavemen, and somebody was doing hieroglyphics on the wall, which was divination. So there's always been that. And with this time of year and people thinking about the dead and everything, I think it kind of went hand in hand in a sense. But back then, I mean, the divination was probably much more simple than what we have now. I mean, of course it is, but I like the old ways. I like automatic writing. for one. I mean, that's been around for 1,000 years, or scrying in a mirror, or scrying in a glass and looking at the water in the glass. I'm not very good at scrying, but there's so many different forms. I think people wanted to try and get a hold of their relatives. How are you? Just like, that go to a medium now to find out.
Well, my teacher, my divination, my metaphysics teacher, Vinny, used to define necromancy as annoying the dead to ask them really stupid questions.
Well, yeah, that could be very true.
So what is was it a dark mirror or black mirror?
A scrying mirror, yeah.
That's used for scrying. And what, are you supposed to see stuff in that when you ask questions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes you don't ask questions. I mean, even a crystal ball, you're not necessarily going to ask a question. You're just going to look and see what visions come to you. And like I said, I'm not good at it. Tim Shaw made me a scrying mirror, a little black mirror, a long time ago. And try as I may, it's just like trying to get an EVP. Ain't happening. I can't get an EVP, and I can't see anything in the scrying mirror. Yeah.
You haven't yet. It's not that you can't. It's that you haven't yet.
Well,
that's like people who drive me crazy saying there's no such thing as ghosts. I'm like, no, what you're saying is you haven't had a paranormal experience yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jeff. I keep hoping, but, after a while it's like, okay, well, if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, that's the way it's going to go.
I don't know how many hours of raw footage I'd gone through before I finally got my EVP on the Queen Mary.
Well, that's good.
Oh, that nice big piece of polished obsidian also acts as a very nice scrying.
Yes, it does. Yeah, because it is bright and shiny and big enough that, yeah, I should do that. I should try.
Is it spherical or jagged or?
It's raw. I mean, it's not polished at all. It looks like, so if you just took some tar that was just ready to mold and you could kind of squeeze it and move it around. It's got sharp things on it. It's got no rounded corners. I mean, it's
sort of like an obsidian version of quartz that's just opaque.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It's nice. But I mean, polished stones are really nice, but there's a beauty to the raw stones too sometimes.
So do you have to use a saying to make it work, or are you just thinking look at it?
Incantation, do you mean?
Yeah.
For scrying, I don't think I would do that. I would it's more like a meditation than an incantation. You have to just kind of meditate on it and concentrate on it. I wouldn't do this hocus pocus dominocus, hey, whoever's in there, the Rocky and Bullwinkle thing. I wouldn't have them, because you never know what's going to come up.
On the wall, no, I wouldn't do anything like that. No.
And basically people think that you're going to see something like in The Wizard of Oz. You see when you look in her crystal ball, she sees Dorothy in the poppy patch or whatever. When you're scrying like this, a lot of times it's more symbolism that you see. Like reading tea leaves, when you empty the cup and you dump the thing, you look to see what the tea leaves look like. It's not that they're animated, they're going to, turn into Gumby or something and wave at you. So I think that's the same thing with scrying. Maybe some people do see things, but I think I was taught that it was more symbolism than actually seeing something.
Plus the seeing is more...
Oh, and speaking,
I was going to say...
hocus pocus here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say mostly it's for focus. Almost all pagan and Wiccan tools are to focus the mind, as opposed to being physical things that have like powers themselves.
Exactly. That's what a wand is. It's a focal point, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of hocus pocus, the big question is does magic done on Halloween more effective or stronger?
It's different kinds of magic. So I think all magic works best by intention. So I don't think that it's necessarily Halloween that makes the magic better. I think it's the person's frame of mind and their desire to make things happen. But that it's the same as any time of year. It's just magic is associated with Halloween, so people are thinking, yeah, this is how it works. But lots of the magic that is performed. They do a lot of protection spells because people are afraid. But you also do spells to communicate with the other side. You're sending out blessings. You do all kinds of different. I mean, every Sabbath has certain spells attached to it, and that just gave me an idea. I might put that in my stones thing too. Good thinking. That's 2 I owe you, Cece. But yeah, I don't think it's any stronger, but I think people are more into it at that point, which makes it work better.
Now,
Do you think that the help of an ancestor on the other side, or the ghost on the other side, if you talk to them about whatever spell you're doing, might enhance
I think it could.
a
Yeah,
spell?
I think it could.
Although
And I think-
generally you're evoking the deities as well, though, which is
Yeah, both.
now,
Well, I don't know. I don't always evoke deities for spell work necessarily. It depends on what it is. But if I'm doing a simple spell like on my tarot deck, I mean my
oracle deck.
oracle deck. Thank you. I just the incantations aren't. We're not calling on anybody. It's just an incantation to enhance the card. So there's no particular deities mentioned, but a lot of people, of course, do. It just depends.
now I know way back in the early 20s and 30s that in Kentucky you would have traveling salesmen go around, and because they didn't have a lot of hotels and they'd be out traveling the old back roads, when night come they'd stop at houses to see if they could put them up for the night. And a lot of these guys did things that you could say, like raising the table, making it knock, whatever, and things like that. Now, they used some kind of a saying or something to do it. Now, my grandma said that one come through, and she was like 15 years old, and there was a bunch of them there, in the house, and the guy was going to make the table talk, and he took my grandma and set her up on the table, and he said, table, I want you to rise and knock one time for every year old she is. And it rose up, knocked 15 times, and her sitting on the table. And he said, table, I want you to rise and knock one time for every year it is until this girl gets married. And it rose up, knocked one time. And by the time she was 16, she was married. She used to tell us that all the time. Now, how do they get something like that to work? Is it a spell incantation that they do, or
no?
Because I also used to tell me
Let's put it this way. The guy should have gone on Penn and Teller fool us.
Well, see, I don't necessarily. I mean, that stuff works. You have to believe in it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that other people don't believe in that we believe in. So, such as ghosts. But these guys would do this much in different places that people couldn't stay in houses sometimes because the walls would start knocking.
That's better than the walls bleeding, I guess. So.
Well, I'm just, that's all these old tales that they had down there. But what my grandma told me was true, that happened to her. I've seen Tim doing the table tipping. And believe you me, I was looking every which way to make sure nobody was making it jump up and down or hands under it or anything. And they wasn't. They had to get up out of their chairs, and that table was moving around the floor. And
I saw the video. That was kind of cool.
I do have the video of it, yes. So that did happen. And that was right over here, the first investigation I was ever on with all them people. So you better believe I was looking at that just because of the tales that I'd heard my grandma and them tell me from being down there. That's why I won't go down there to any place and then back up in them hollers to old places in Kentucky. Couldn't pay.
That's the place I would go, the first place.
Yeah. It might be, but not me.
I mean, that's like when I was investigating a Masonic lodge in Pasadena. with some friends. We had just left one room and got into the main auditorium, and while we were all standing there, we were the only people in the building. There was this loud noise in the room we had just left, and about most of us, I certainly turned towards it, and the leader of the group almost lost it in his pants, going, "Did you hear that?" And he already saw me turning, saying, "You heard that, right?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I just headed right for it. He just could not understand why I was going in the direction of the noise as opposed to like elsewhere.
Well, you have to go check that stuff out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, one final thing. What one movie says Halloween?
Trick or treat.
House on Haunted Hill.
Which version? The Vince Price?
The original one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have to put my vote in for Hocus Pocus.
Well, that too.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus, good Halloween movie.
Yep.
Our time is like running right on by. We got about 5 minutes. Is there anything you guys want to shout out about here for the last minute or two?
What do you think of Jodie Whittaker, Marla?
What should I be thinking? I think I'm out of that loop.
She's the next Doctor.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right. I'm more into classic things, and I'm not going to say she's going to be a bad Doctor. I mean, I wasn't too sure about the last one. He was an old man, right? But
some of the classic ones.
I know, but I just think that right now, and I'll change my opinion, I'm sure, but right now I would prefer Doctor Who to be a man.
As would I. I was concerned with a female only because I was worried about the concept of a Dr. Pulaski from the second season of The Next Generation, where she was cantankerous and it didn't work the way they wanted, or the way any of the fans wanted. But Jodie Whittaker was in Broadchurch, and she is a fantastic actress. So yeah,
she is. Yeah,
so I'm giving her way huge benefit of the doubt. I'm pretty sure she'll do good.
And the companion will be a guy, so it'll still be mix and match. So yeah, no, I'm just more into classical things. No, what you're not. But yeah, I'll change my mind. I'm sure.
Well, I will admit, when they did the reveal and they showed her eye and I realized female, I literally screamed no. And because she was short-haired blonde, I didn't recognize her as Jodie Whittaker because I was used to her long, dark hair. Right. And then when I looked her up, I'm like, oh, okay, well, good. All right, I know she can act because I've seen Broadchurch and she's wonderful. So, yeah, she'll – and, of course, it's also up to the scripts.
Right.
Let's hope Chris Chibnall knows what he's doing. He's written some good episodes I've liked. Some other commenters haven't liked them, and I'm like, why?
Well, we're going to have to get used to it because it's all new writing staff, I mean, new Doctor, new writing staff, and should be interesting.
Hopefully means we'll eventually get another season of Sherlock, too.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be good.
Well, Marla, I want to thank you for coming on such short notice to talk with us tonight.
Well, you're very, very welcome, and thank you for asking me.
Of course, I always do, and usually you say no, so.
Well, usually I may be doing stuff here and there. A couple weeks ago, I wasn't going to be home when you asked, but,
Joking with you.
So there. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're all great, and we always love having you come on.
And I do when I can, so that's a good thing.
Next time you're local, like hitting for Hollywood Forever or anything like that, let me know.
You know what? It's so hard for me to get out there. I think I've only been there twice in recent months.
Dearly Departed is doing a whole bunch of stuff for the holidays.
I know. He's got a Houdini seance on the 31st up there. Yeah.
Well, why don't you give us out all your stuff where people can get a hold of you, find you, follow you, and listen to your show?
Really quickly and so simply, its website is marlabrooks.com and ParaX on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern, and I'm on Facebook. Easy to find.
And Twitter.
And Twitter, yes. Oh God, I bit the butt on that one. I did. So yeah, and if you just Google me, you'll find me. I'm easy to find.
All right, hang out for a couple minutes. We'll talk with you when we get off. Next week, a couple weeks back, we did a show and we couldn't actually get on, but we did the show. So next week, we are going to play that podcast for our regular show. It is with Cody Knotts, who is the director of the movie Kecksburg. So very interesting show that was. So tune in and listen to that. The only reason we're playing a pre-taped one is normally I don't take off unless it is because of some sort of mechanical problems. And this time, though, I am going to a Halloween party.
Woohoo!
And we had a taped show that hadn't been aired yet, so we are going to play that next week at the same time. So, Jeff, why don't you give our stuff out real quick?
TheParanormalView.com is our official site. Go to Facebook.com/TheParanormalView. There we are. We're on Twitter at Paraview Radio, and I'm on Twitter at Real Badger, RealBadger. I'm also findable on Facebook. So there you go.
So with that, I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Hope everybody had a great time. And Barbara, you got anything real quick? All right. So good night, everybody. See you next weekend. You've been listening to the Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. Join us again next week at the same time for more of the Paranormal View.